Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of MFO. When I'm doing this channel, it seems like every other week or so I get on here, I turn the camera on, and I'm about to do something crazy that I'm wondering whether you guys are gonna think that I'm just a lunatic or whether I really have a good idea. So I'm about to tell you something that I think is going to sound crazy to you, but actually works when it comes to throwing a Wacky Rig Senko. And you guys know that that's like my favorite thing to be doing. I just love throwing a Wacky Rig Senko. And quite honestly, I used this technique on Hartwell last week, much to my dismay, because as many fish as were under docks, and I could see them using forward-facing sonar, getting them to bite was a different story. It was tough, and it was even tougher knowing that, geez, there's 10 fish under that dock, and when I throw under there, they're not moving. I did a little something to my Wacky Rig Senko that generated a few more bites, and we're going to talk about that today. Stick around, guys. Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. I'm Mark Fisher, and so we're talking about Wacky Rig Senko, and like I said, I've done it to the point I've fished a Wacky Rig Senko enough to where I feel like I know what I'm talking about here. And I've done experimenting with different sizes, whether I'm throwing the regular 5-inch or a smaller 4-inch, whether I've used a collar, not a collar, things like that. So I feel like I've pretty much got it dialed in. But here is the secret to getting a few more bites in certain situations. As you know, the water was kind of stained in the upper part of the Seneca River on Hartwell. So throwing a Wacky Rig Senko, and again, it wasn't dirty, muddy to where you could still see this 6 inches down, but I wanted to get a little bit more visibility using this. And just before I get into that, let me make sure that you guys know this is a 2-aught O'Shaughnessy Mustad hook. I also use Gatsu 2-aught hooks. That's the hook that I prefer to use when I throw a Wacky Rig Senko. And I don't use any collars or anything, go straight through the Senko. The other thing that I will do is I will take that Senko and stretch it out, get that salt to start coming out. I want those fish to hang on to that bait, and so I get that salt coming out of it. Now, here's the tip. And again, at first you're gonna think, I know that, Mark, but you wait. So yeah, we're gonna use the spike it die or the dip it die. But here's the thing. I'm not gonna just put it on one end. You can see there I've got it on that one end. Now I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to put it on the other end as well. So now I've got my die on two ends. That end and that end. Now what I've done, let me get this cap on so that I don't spill my dye on my boat here. And this is the part that guys look at me and they go, Mark, that's kind of crazy looking. What is it? But because I've got dye on both ends, as that bait goes through the water and wobbles through the water, these ends are undulating. And with the two ends being dyed, I think it actually gives more of a visual indicator on both ends. It actually accentuates or exaggerates that wobble as it's going down, which attracts the fish's attention to it and allows it to follow it down more. than if you didn't dye it. Now, again, a lot of guys will dye one end, but having both ends dyed, I found that that gets me a lot more strikes. And I find that, like I said, it actually accentuates the natural movement of that Senko when it's rigged wacky rig. Guys, I decided to take this into the pool and just do a quick little video of my dyed wacky rig Senko as it's fluttering down, and I'll show you that as it's compared to my undyed wacky rig Senko. You tell me, you know, it's one thing to talk about it on the video, but it's another to get in the pool. We got the pool. It took me an extra 10 or 20 minutes to set it up, do it, videotape it, edit it, and get that on here. But I wanted to actually show you what it looked like in the water fluttering down. That's the difference that I'm talking about in this video. On Hartwell, I found that I actually was generating a lot more bites when I dyed the tips of my wacky rig Senko versus just leaving it alone. Now again, guys, I've done this. I've dyed one end and not the other. Dyeing both ends is the ticket to actually getting the most strikes. I won't necessarily always do this in super gin clear water, but to be honest, there aren't a whole lot of times where it's a detractant versus an attractant. In other words, I think it helps almost all the time. All right, so now you can tell me I'm crazy or not, but if you're gonna tell me I'm crazy, that means you better have tried this and you found it didn't work, because if you haven't tried it, absolutely give it a shot. The next time you're throwing under docks with a wacky rig Senko and you're thinking, you're kind of scratching your head going, why am I not getting bit as much? Take a little bit of that spike it dye, dip just a little bit of the tips, throw it under there, let that fall, and see if you don't get some more bites by dyeing the ends of your wacky rig Senko. Guys, we appreciate you tuning in, and send me your comments. Hit that like button, and for sure, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. We are getting close to 4,000 subscribers. We would really like to make that push and get us up to that 4,000. We appreciate all of your support, and we will see you again tomorrow for another episode of Mark Fisher Outdoors. Take care, everybody.